Ethan grew up in a world that moved too fast. Everywhere he looked, people seemed to be racing toward success. By 23, some of his friends had already bought their dream cars, started businesses, and moved to big cities. Meanwhile, Ethan was still in his small hometown, working part-time in an old repair shop owned by his father. It wasn't that he was lazy. He worked hard, fixing broken radios, bicycles, and furniture every day. But no matter how much effort he put in, his life looked nothing like the lives of people his age. Every night, when the shop lights went off and the streets grew quiet, Ethan would sit on his bed and scroll through social media. There, he'd see smiling faces, vacation pictures, and posts filled with achievements. And every time he saw them, a quiet voice inside whispered, "You're not doing enough. You're falling behind." He began to measure his worth by what others had accomplished. His joy faded. His dreams felt distant. And slowly, he began to lose faith in himself. One afternoon, while fixing an old bicycle, an elderly man walked into the shop. The bike was so rusted that it looked impossible to repair. Ethan looked at it and said gently, "Sir, I don't think this one can be saved." The old man smiled calmly. He said, "Son, I planted a mango tree 30 years ago. For 10 years, it didn't give me a single fruit. People laughed at me, said I was wasting my time. But today, that same tree feeds my whole family." He looked at Ethan and added, "Everything takes time. Don't rush your season. Roots must grow deep before the fruit appears." Those words sank into Ethan's heart like sunlight breaking through clouds. That night, he couldn't stop thinking about them. He realized he'd spent so much time comparing his journey to others that he'd forgotten to nurture his own. The next morning, he made a decision. He would stop chasing what others had and start improving what he already knew. He stopped scrolling endlessly, stopped checking what others were doing. Instead, he focused on his craft, fixing, shaping, and restoring. He began building furniture out of old wood, creating beauty from what others had thrown away. At first, no one noticed. But Ethan didn't care anymore. He was at peace knowing he was growing at his own pace. Months passed, and one day, a cafe owner visited the shop. She was impressed by the handmade furniture Ethan had built and asked him to design the interior of her cafe. Ethan poured everything he had into that project, his patience, his skill, and his heart. When the cafe opened, people loved it. They admired the craftsmanship, the warmth, the story in every piece of wood. Soon, word spread across town. More people came. More opportunities followed. And before long, Ethan opened his own workshop, a big, beautiful space called Ethan's Restorations. He hired others, trained them, and helped them believe in slow, steady growth. Years later, he stood outside his shop, watching his workers laugh and customers smile, and he realized something powerful. All that time he thought he was behind, life was actually preparing him. While others were chasing speed, he was building strength. While others were racing for attention, he was growing roots. Ethan learned that life isn't a competition. The flower doesn't envy the tree. The moon doesn't compete with the sun. They all shine, just in their own time. He smiled and whispered to himself, "I was never late. I was just growing quietly." So whenever you feel left behind, remember this. You are not meant to run anyone else's race. Your journey is yours alone. Grow slow. Grow deep. And trust your timing. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Because the only person you should try to be better than, is who you were yesterday.